Hey, good morning. Well, I guess you're listening to this a little bit later. It's probably about 6 o'clock when you're listening to this, but so good evening. It is so good to be here with y'all today. I've got me and my buddy Dale here, who was just hanging out up there for a little while. But me and my buddy Dale, we're ready to roll. See, what we wanted to talk to y'all about this morning is nothing other than Jesus walking on the water. And how cool is that? You know, I've never walked on the water. I've tried once, but I went through. And I don't know anybody who's ever walked on the water. But in this story, in this biblical account, two people walk on the water. And that is super, super cool. So, our story today, it comes from the book of Matthew, and that's chapter 14, and it's in verses 22, and it ends in verse 33. And so let's talk about our story. So Jesus had just fed 5,000 people with just a few loaves of bread and just a couple fish. Now that was pretty cool. So he was taking care of everybody in their physical need, whenever they got hungry. Jesus was taking care of everybody. But then he sent his disciples out onto the sea. And when he did that, he said he needed to rest, and he would come on. But his disciples, they all went out into the sea, and there was this big, great storm. And during this storm, they got really scared, and they didn't know if they were going to make it. It says that the waves were against them. It just means like that it was bad for them. You can imagine being out in the middle of the sea, and it's rocking you every which way, and you know it's awful. It's just I can't imagine it. And so they were getting rocked around. And then they see this man walking towards them on the water. And that's just nuts, right? That's just nuts. Because we've never experienced that. You're not supposed to be able to walk on the water, but Jesus can. Because Jesus can do everything. And so the people thought, well, it's a ghost. And they got really scared. And I would be pretty scared too if I saw somebody walking on the water towards me during a storm. I'd be pretty scared if I saw anybody walking on the water. But yep, so they were super, super scared. And they said, well, it must be a ghost. And Jesus, he says, take heart. It is I. Do not be afraid. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool right there. We'll come back to that. Let's underline that in our Bibles. And then we can come back to that. Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid. And then Peter says, Lord, if it's you, then command me to get out of the boat and walk on the water. Now, what a leap of faith. In the middle of a storm, Peter has faith enough to say, Lord, if it really is you, let me come and walk on the water with you. And that's awesome, isn't it, guys? That is just awesome. And Jesus just says, come. He says, come. So Peter got out of the boat and he walked on the water. Now, not only do we have one person, Jesus, who is the Son of God walking on the water, which is a little bit less surprising, but we have a normal person like you and me walking on the water because Jesus made them. Jesus got them to be able to walk on the water. He's just that powerful. And so Jesus is walking on the water, and now Peter's walking on the water. So what happens after this is Peter starts walking towards Jesus, and then something happens. A big shark doesn't come up and eat him. A big fish doesn't come up and swallow him like we talked about last week with Jonah. No, he starts getting afraid. As long as he's looking at Jesus, see, everything's all right. But then he stepped away from Jesus. He started looking at all the waves around him, and it said, but when he saw the wind he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." You know, he got scared because he was walking on the water and he saw the waves around him. And he got scared, and rightfully so. Because, I mean, if you see all the waves, it's pretty scary when you're walking on the water like that, I can imagine. But yeah, he started sinking. And what did he do immediately when he got scared and he started to sink? He said, "Lord, save me. Lord, save me." And it says that Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him. He immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him. Now that's just pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Now, whenever we're sinking, whenever we're scared, we can always cry out and just say, "Lord, save me." And Jesus is right there with us. You know, I don't know what you get scared about. You know, I know somebody who gets scared if the room is really dark and their closet door is open. I know I get kind of scared in the dark in the middle of the night too. I don't know what you get scared about. You're probably a little bit tougher than I am, though. And so you might get scared of fewer things than I do, but everybody gets scared. You know, it's all right to be scared. Because, I mean, everybody gets scared. Just like Peter got scared. Peter was a great apostle, and he got scared. But he knew exactly what to do whenever he got scared. He said, "Lord, save me." And so, we can know that no matter what, whenever it's time for us to be scared and we're scared, we can always cry out and just say, "Lord, save me." And it says that Jesus will immediately reach out his hand. And that's just pretty cool. Now, you might not see a hand coming down from your ceiling because that's kind of weird too. But what you can know for a fact is that Jesus is right there beside you. Even if you're as scared as you may be, no matter what you're going through, Jesus is always right there with you. And that's just super, super cool. And so what I want y'all to do is when you're with your parents, we're going to send out a coloring sheet. You can color that. You can find it on our Facebook page. But I want you to tell your parents or tell your brothers and sisters or tell whoever's with you. Just say, tell them what you get scared about. But you can say, "But God is always right there with me." Like I can say, I get scared when it's really dark in the church building and I'm by myself. But I can always know that God is right there with me. So y'all do that too. And maybe you can comment and tell us what you were scared about and tell us about how God is just right there with you no matter what. Guys, Dale and I have had so much fun hanging out with you today. So much fun. And I guess we'll see y'all again on Sunday. And we're really excited about it. Thank y'all for tuning in. Show me your coloring sheet. Tell me what you're scared about. And I might tell y'all some things too. All right. Well, we love y'all. See you later.